This week? Yep.
I'm going to put Scott and we'll say, we have a budget.
Oh yeah, my usual quote. Didn't I say it in there?
You did.
We have a budget. I think that's I guess that's my 11th budget, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it was very different this time. They're all very different. But in the end, we were able to provide citizens of Calgary with a 1.77% tax decrease, about 1.5% decrease for residential taxpayers, and almost 2% decrease for business taxpayers. In addition, we were able to cap the increase for those categories of business that are seeing a huge increase because their assessment values have gone up at a maximum of 10%. But I think we always focus in the budget on the tax numbers. But I think what's more important is to focus on what we've accomplished, what people will see in their services. And thanks to a lot of really hard work by city administration, we were able to achieve that tax decrease without massive changes to the services people need every day in the midst of a pandemic. I believe that so far we're the only major city in Canada to be able to come forth with a tax decrease during the pandemic. But the fact that we did it while still focusing and investing in the things that make life worth living here is, I think, a really important thing. And I don't need to say too much more on the need for policing reform and our commitment to anti-racism, but I think the council showed that today as well in the budget. Because I said at the very beginning, a budget, people think it's a spreadsheet or a binder with a lot of numbers and rows and columns on it, but it's not. The budget is how we make our commitment to the city real. It's a statement of our values, it's a statement of our principles, it's a statement of what we believe in, because they're just words until you put money behind them. And so ultimately, I'm very pleased with this budget. It strikes the right balance. It's a tough budget. It strikes the right balance between the tax decreases and the services, and ultimately, I think Calgarians should be very happy today.
Sorry, can you just clarify, is that 1.77, isn't the tax rate decrease? That was my understanding. It's not the actual.
No, it's the tax. See, this is a very hard question because it has to do with the mill rate.
Yeah, so in terms of, the average property owner, my understanding is the decrease of their bill compared to this year is actually less than 1%.
Well, so the problem is that for all residential, it's minus 1.5. However, just because there's different categories in there, for a single family home, it'll be between 0.5 and 1%. For some categories of residentials, as much as 5%. And for high-rise apartment buildings, it's a small increase.
Did that change from the beginning of this one?
Just a little bit. Because the only thing we did in the whole debate that changed the property tax rate specifically is we took $2 million out from heritage conservation, and that's what makes the difference. So I think we started at minus 1.66, and we ended up at minus 1.77.
And so for that median price residential house, instead of 0, there actually should be a drop.
A small drop.
You stand the median.
Yeah, a small drop.
What do you think is the change, the budget cut, I guess, of the $90 million package you think will be the most noticeable to Calgarians?
There's a lot of things that you won't see in your sort of everyday life, but there's a lot of things in there that create more efficiency throughout the system internally. So I think that people will be happy. We had to shave here and there on things like pavement rehabilitation or things that are a bit more fungible, but most of it has been found through operating efficiencies and making government work better, and I hope that citizens will see that.
Can you take us through the new PTP that is going to cap the non-residential tax increases?
Can't you just use my audio from last year and the year before and the year before that?
But there are parts of it that come from different reserves.
Yeah, so what we did is, yet again, as much as we all hate it, we just can't, not in a time of COVID, we just can't allow people to pay, these small number of people to pay a very high tax increase. And so we've taken another $21 million or so and rebated those folks just to cushion them. I don't know the total amount that takes our business subsidy two over the years. You look like you might know.
I was gonna say, just call it $250 million, isn't it?
Yeah, let's call it over $200 million. I think it's quite a bit more than that actually now.
246.
Let's call it $246 million, based entirely on Scott Tipple's analysis.
From a budget document, sir.
Yeah, I know, I just can't remember it. So yeah, we spent almost $250 million buffeting businesses from these big tax increases. I don't think we get a lot of credit for that, but we've been trying to protect these businesses year on year. And we're gonna do that again this year with another $21 million so that nobody pays more than plus 10%, where some people are paying minus 30 or 40%. This year hotels will be looking at a minus 30% because they've been so hit by the pandemic. I hope we don't have to do this too much longer, but we do have the ability to do it. And this year, because we actually came back with a budget that was better than what council asked for, we were able to fund that mostly without dipping into our rainy day fund with the money that was already budgeted for this year that wasn't otherwise being used.
Do you know what type of property owners might end up with the 10% cap? Would that be literally the large warehouse?
Yeah, it'll be large warehouses, it'll be some retail, some retailers on streets like 17th Avenue and 9th Avenue Southeast, and there are some other industrial buildings in there as well.
How do you think that'll go over?
Well, nobody wants to pay more, but I gotta tell you, 10% is way better than 25%. For those large format warehouses, it's important to remember why their taxes went up, because these are big distribution centers that really benefit from online shopping, benefit from the big box stores remaining open. So that's why the value went up. So a lot of these tenants who pay the taxes are national or multinational firms, big box stores and so on. And so frankly, you know, on the one hand, you don't want to spend a lot of money subsidizing them because the reason their taxes went up is because they're having a good year. But on the other hand, in terms of COVID and in terms of our competitiveness with the region and attracting those kinds of businesses, I thought it was important to make a statement today.
There are layoffs included in this budget. We don't quite know how many because job losses might also include attrition and everything. Do you know when we will know how those losses break down by department or what we're
That will probably roll out not all at once, but over time as the departments start to realize some of these efficiencies. And look, that's tough. We're operating today with the same headcount of staff, of city staff, as in 2013. We have added sort of 2 red deers to the population of Calgary since 2013. We're operating with the same number of people. And it's always tough to lose people. I hope that we will be able to accommodate people, that we'll be able to handle that through attrition. But part of delivering services smarter sometimes means you're delivering services with fewer people. Okay?
We have other topics.
Do we? I've been in there. I don't have anything else.
Well,
Go.
Maybe you can provide a clip regarding our new integrity commissioner.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm very pleased to announce that Meryl Whitaker, after an intensive search, has been chosen as our new integrity commissioner. Meryl is a lawyer and a former senior public servant with the government of Alberta who retired in 2019, and she served on our Calgary 2026 bid corporation. I don't really know her very well, but I tell you, she has gotten rave reviews, not just from our volunteer selection committee, but from anyone who's ever worked with her. So I'm really looking forward to meeting her properly and spending some time with her on these issues.
There's not a very long history of integrity commissioners at the city so far, but the past 2 have been retired judges.
Yeah, it's a little different, right?
It's a little bit different, yeah.
You know, she's still a very senior lawyer, but rather than a judge, the committee, which is a citizen committee, not a council committee, the citizen committee felt, I suppose, that a different mix of experience would be good in that role. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out.
Mr. Mayor, at about noon today, AHS said that about 100% of, ICU capacity was above 100% here in Calgary. I guess.
I hate when my predictions come true.
No,
I said by the end of the week, didn't I?
Yes, and it's above 100%. So I guess how do you take that information and
Well, I like being right, but on this I hate being right. It just talks about the incredible need for us to flatten the curve and to work hard to do it now, because that's what I need to remind people. The doubling rate means the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger. So last week they announced that they could almost double the capacity of the ICUs in Alberta. I don't know if they're going to have the staffing, but they could almost double it. But at the doubling rate we're at, I hesitate to make a prediction because they keep turning up to be true. But that means that we'll fill all of those beds before Christmas. And so we got to work hard. Every single one of us has to work hard, follow the government restrictions, the Alberta government restrictions, and do even more.
I spoke to the president. I'm sorry to jump back to the budget. It's my
No, it's all good. It's
I
all
missed
good.
a bit of this conversation. But I spoke to the president of Black Lives Matter Calgary today. She says that yes, this program is going to help a lot of people. This community investment you guys are making, but she's concerned about being at the table. Will community groups like that, and how will we ensure that those people are also at the table during these conversations to set up this fund?
Thank you for that. What I really liked about what council did today is that they approved this framework that is really community driven and community based, and it really is a matter of making sure everyone's at the table. Not everyone's always at every table, not everyone's always at the table that will allocate the last pennies of the money, but this will not work if we don't have strong community voices helping us understand what works.
Just quickly in terms of the budget, was there anything that was very much different from what administration came out with a week ago, like leaving aside the police budget, or maybe 2 weeks ago? Was there anything
No, not
significant?
really, no. Council made probably the smallest number of changes or amendments that I've seen in my time here. Essentially, we had the whole police matter, which we spent most of our time on. We made a couple of small changes. We invested some more in some trees to try and build the urban tree canopy, which, listen, I'm never voting against planting more trees. It's one of the ways we can leave a great legacy. We invested in some more trees. We reformatted something called the Heritage Conservation Grant, which allows owners of heritage buildings a little bit of help with renovations and making them livable. We changed that a little bit, kind of ramped up to the amount that we were going to start with in 21. We ramped it up over a couple of years. What else did we do? And we did the PTP, that's right.
Well, we're back on budget. There were some members of council, when the adjustments were released earlier this month, that were saying that's not enough, we need to go deeper, and it was pretty quiet. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the administration really did an amazing job. Again, when you compare it to every other city, we're not even in the same world in terms of what savings and efficiencies we were able to find. And I think as people really cracked the documents and went in, they realized how good work this was. I really do have to wrap up.
I have one coming attractions question for you, sir.
Okay.
Why not? You're here, we could do it tomorrow, but you're here. On Tuesday, PFC is going to discuss fluoridation.
Yeah?
As in, should we fluoridate, or we've looked at everything and we don't have the money to do that?
I haven't read my agenda yet. Why don't we talk about that tomorrow?
You haven't read Tuesday's agenda, sir?
I've been a little busy.
Do
All
you
right,
have any
thank
thoughts
you.
on that Adamson barbecue sort of thing going on? Is there any plan in place here if we see similar businesses doing similar kind of things?
I love beef brisket. But what I love more than a good brisket sandwich is I love keeping people safe and alive. And that's got to be our number one priority right now, and we will make sure it is our number one priority.
Mic drop.
Thank you.